Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2, meow mix, meow mix. Today I'm gonna be going over 3 different exercises that you can utilize if you have tight hips or been having some issues with your hips. This is gonna help open it up the hips as well as provide some range of motion and improve mobility. Let's get started. We are gonna need a few pieces of equipment. I'll try to give some modifications if you don't have them. The first exercise we're gonna be doing is gonna be a hip airplane. Now these are something I've incorporated into my routine recently. I absolutely love them. A friend of mine mentioned them to me, and then also my PT that's been helping with my sciatica has also mentioned them to me. So you're gonna be needing some sort of like sturdy object. That could be a rig, that could be a rack, something that's not gonna move. We are essentially gonna be doing a single leg hip rotator or hip airplane. So it's gonna look like this. I'm gonna demonstrate. I'm gonna have my hands on the rack and have my hands about shoulder width distance or maybe in line with the shoulders. From here, we're gonna start with the right leg down. I'm gonna place my left leg down, left leg down. Left leg's gonna be down, and I'm gonna extend my leg. I wanna think of rooting myself through my midfoot and my heel. My stability is the rack here. My opposite leg is up, and I'm gonna focus on dropping my right hip to the ground. So I'm opening up that hip, a little bit outside of the left leg. And then from here, I'm gonna rotate, opening up my hips to the right side as much as I can while keeping that left leg straight. I personally like to have a neutral foot position here, so I'm not pointing, I'm not aggressively flexing, but I'm trying to have a kind of a neutral position, like an L shape with my leg. If you're starting off, start off with 5 to 6 repetitions of these for 2 sets. If you're a little more experienced and you feel more comfortable, you can work yourself up to 10 to 12 reps, eventually 15 reps for 3 rounds or 3 sets. So in this position, I'm trying to drop my right hip as much as I can, twist, open, and rotate to the side. I'm gonna switch legs so you guys can see it from the opposite side. So if you have tight hamstrings, it might be hard to completely lock out your leg. You may need to bend the leg slightly. If you also have a struggle in terms of this position, you can always bring that leg closer so you have more of a bend in the arm here. But like I said before, leg locked out, opposite leg up, and then I'm going to drop my hip, go as low as I can, rotate up and over. You're going at a nice controlled pace. Don't have to rush through these. You'll notice on my right side here, meaning my right leg is down, left leg, my left leg tends to drop a little bit since I am tighter on my right side. So you really want to try to fight to have that left leg up. Again, if you're new, start off with 5 to 6 reps on each leg for 2 sets. More experience, then you can do anywhere from 10 to 15 reps for about 3 rounds. Right now, I'm personally doing 10 reps on each leg for 2 to 3 rounds, depending if I remember or if I'm pressed for time. But I really like these because it helps open up the hips, also opens up a little bit of the adductor and groin. So a great exercise to incorporate into your routine if you have tight hips, if you sit a lot, or if you drive a lot. All right, second exercise. This is going to be using a variety of bands. I'm going to show a couple different options, and then we'll talk about the exercise. So these different bands are from Rogue Fitness. If you guys want to grab them, they are linked below. This red one is typically what I use for shoulder mobility, shoulder exercise like pass-throughs. I program a lot of banded workouts as well as banded mobility for my clients when I do my remote coaching one-on-ones. And so these bands are a great option if you guys are looking to build out your home gym and have some banded exercises. So this is the red one. This is a small, about a 1/4 inch thick one. We're not going to be using this one for today, right? If you have the option would be either a 1 inch thick band or an 1.5 inch thick band, plus or minus maybe a little centimeters. But this green one's about 1 inch thick, this one's about 1.5 inches. Again, we're gonna be utilizing the green one today. When I do these, I utilize the black band here. It's a lot more resistance because it's a little bit thicker of a band. But if you're new and you're starting out, highly recommend the green one. So we're gonna take this band, we're gonna wrap it around our anchor point here, and it's gonna be about knee height. I have demonstrated these exercises before. I highly recommend them. They are clutch. If you haven't done them yet, please add them into your routine. Also, if you guys are new here, please feel free to subscribe and tune in for my videos and my content on here. All right, so we're gonna start with threading. Talking today is hard. Threading our right leg through the band. And then again, I'm gonna have this band about knee height, and then I'm gonna take a nice large lunge step away. I'm facing my anchor point, so my anchor point is my rig here, my hips are facing it. The reason I want it about a knee height is as you take the lunge, this should be in line of your hip joint. So we want the band as high as you can at the base of your butt, top of your hamstring here, opposite legs about a 90-degree angle, and you're gonna sit into this position anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds. From here, I can lunge forward, I can press on the band, increasing tension, right? So this is a hip joint stretch. We're creating more space within the hip joint. It is gonna be felt typically in the front of the hip and thigh down here. If you're really tight, you may feel it down the quad, but this is a great stretch. You can lean into it, you can twist, rotate. If you want a little bit more, you can always bend the back leg, grab it with your hand, and then lunge into it and always press on the band if you want even more. So 30 to 60 seconds here with the stretch. Again, it's gonna open that front side of that hip. I recommend starting on the side that's tighter. So if your right side's tighter, start on your right side. All right, so from here, you can go from your right leg to your left leg. If you start with your left leg, you then can go to the right leg. Also, another option is we're gonna show 2 other exercises within the banded series. I can pivot and I can come away at a elevated pigeon. So I'm using my ab mat here for my cushion for my knee. If you don't want an ab mat, you don't have to have it. But I'm keeping my knee kind of underneath my hip joint, and then I'm taking my opposite leg, my left knee, and I'm scooping it kind of behind my right ankle here. I'm trying to block my ankle, so as the band pulls me back, I'm trying to fight that resistance by keeping my body forward, and that's where that knee is kind of blocking the ankle. So if this is too much, right, you can always undo that leg and release that ankle, but this allows you to get a little bit of torque, a little bit extra rotation of the hip joint. From here, I can stay in my palms, push my butt back. I can tuck my pelvis under. I can extend my pelvis. If you kind of see my lower back arching and then flexing, right? Or extending and rounding, however you want to call it. But the focus here is to feel that stretch in the back of the hip and the butt here. You can also come down to your forearms. If you feel like the band's too high in the hip joint, then just readjust the band, but it should be close to the hip joint to essentially create more space in the hip joint. If you guys have been following K-Star, Dr. Kelly Surratt, he's had these exercises out for many, many years. They're amazing. I first came across them in 2011 and have been doing these exercises since. So great exercise, I highly recommend it. All right, so this is the second part, or I guess second exercise within the banded series. Again, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Then the third part, I'm gonna actually switch legs so you guys can see a little bit better. This is gonna be a banded hamstring. So band is, again, at the top of the thigh, base of the hip, anchor points behind me. I'm gonna hinge from my hips. Bend in the knees is a good generous bend in the knees to start with. If you feel like you're pretty good, then you can always straighten your legs. But I want my feet about hip width to shoulder width distance apart. I'm gonna walk myself forward, bend that left knee, and then I can walk myself back, straighten that left knee. I can even twist, rotate, bring my left hand to the sky. You should feel this on the back of the butt, hip, and even possibly down the IT band, but you should also feel it in the hamstring, which is the back of that thigh. So again, I'm gonna bend, straighten, walk away, walk 2. I can just hang out here. I can straighten both legs if I want, bend one leg to emphasize that left leg. Again, 30 to 60 seconds. So of the 3 exercises, that's the second exercise, but that second exercise has essentially 3 parts. The first one is that lizard lunge with the band. The second one was that elevated pigeon that we did, right? Elevated pigeon. And the last one was that hamstring stretch. So we're targeting the front, the side, and then the back of that leg for that second series. Now, modifications, if you don't have a band, you're gonna come into this lizard stretch, or dragon stretch, excuse me, and you're gonna kind of tuck your pelvis under, you're gonna push forward and back, forward and back, or you can even stay here and reach the arm up and over. That is a modification for the band. The other one would be that elevated pigeon. I'm just gonna, again, get in this position as if I had a band. I'm gonna push my butt back and then forward. I'm going to extend my pelvis, tuck my pelvis, playing around with position. I can even come onto my forearms, but I'm trying to shove my femur bone through the back of my butt. So I'm trying to get that stretch on the back of the hip and back of the butt. And then last one, you can start kind of in like a standing straddle position, and you can walk into this position where I walk my hands to my feet and then walk forward. And if that feels good, you can always bring your feet more narrow to a shoulder width stance. You will feel this in your hamstrings. You also will feel it in your back because you don't have the band to distract you. So those are the modifications for that exercise. And again, if you don't have a bench or a squat rack or anything to hold on to, you can always use your wall for that airplane, single leg airplane. All right, third and final exercise, we're actually gonna come to the ground, doesn't require any equipment. I'll show you guys from a couple different angles. This is I call it a 90-90, which I think most people do. In this 90-90 position, we're trying to get our feet outside of our shoulders. I like to start with a significantly wider stance with my feet. It allows me more range of motion. As I feel more comfortable, I can bring my feet more narrow. So from here, this is gonna work internal rotation and external rotation of both legs. Different for each one, obviously. So as I rotate to my right, I'm looking to slowly get internal rotation here on my left leg and then external rotation on my right leg. You can clearly see that my right side is a lot tighter as I'm not able to get my left knee to the floor just in this position. I need to kind of fight for it, I need to kind of push down, or I'm gonna have to rotate. My right side has been significantly tighter for a while, which makes sense of why I'm having sciatica issues on my right side. But that's not the point today. So 90 degrees rotation. We're getting in this position. I'm holding up here. From here, I want to manually myself, not using assistance if I can, rotate and pivot to the other side. Again, notice my left side. I'll position myself a little better so you guys can see me. My left side is significantly better, still tight because my knee's not to the floor. Not that that's a standard of measure that you need to utilize, but it is something that's going to give you feedback if you're looking at both left to right. So if I face you directly, again, now I'm getting internal rotation and external rotation on this opposite leg. If you're not able to do this standing tall by yourself on the sit bones, don't be afraid to lean back. Use your fingertips, use your palms, lean back even more. But the focus and the intention is to slowly work through that range of motion. The more you lean back, the less of a stretch you're gonna feel. So that's why I like to lean forward. I will say, as you do more and more of these repetitions, you tend to kind of scoot forward. Your legs may get a little closer. So don't be afraid to reposition yourself or utilize a long mat, ab mat, yoga mat of the sort. So again, if you're starting out, start with like 30 seconds of this rotation, up to 60 seconds to even a minute and a half, 90 seconds, right? I've worked to maybe 2 to 5 minutes in my stretches. Again, everyone's a little different, but find something that works best for you, especially if you're implementing these for the first time. If you're new to my channel and you're sharing this with someone that has seen it, start with the smaller segments, like 30 seconds, and eventually work up to a minute, 2 minutes, etc. So again, don't be afraid to use this. Now you can even hold this for a couple seconds and then rotate, hold for a couple seconds. One thing that I want you to be really aware of is if you're doing this rotation or any other stretch where you're kind of pushing or trying to leverage your body on your legs, please avoid the knee joint. Meaning, if I'm in this position, I'm like, oh, my leg's not down there, I don't want to be pushing on my knee joint. If you want to push, maybe push on your upper thigh, maybe push on your shin, your calf. I prefer the thigh over the shin because this is a larger muscle, but it's also closer to your hip joint. That's a great option, but avoiding the knee joint and pushing the knee joint, please, please, please avoid that. All right, so those are the 3 exercises to improve hip mobility, hip strength, and also get some better range of motion. If you guys found this beneficial, helpful in any form or fashion, please share with others. If you want to support, you can like, you can subscribe. You also can share this with others. You also can hopefully check out the links below, grab some bands if you need some bands, or if there's any other questions you want, let me know. If you are interested in remote coaching and want some personalized coaching and accountability, I also have that as an option as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you soon.